I want to welcome you to the online worship service for Neoga Grace, Etna, and Toledo United Methodist Churches. I like to call it nothing but net. Swoosh.
They say sometimes rain some, sometimes you lose some. And right now I'm losing that. We stood on the stage night after night, reminding the broken that we are alright. Right now, oh right now I just can't. It's easy to see there's nothing to bring me down. What would I say when I'm held to the flame I am right now? I know you're able and I know you can. Save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. It takes a little faith to move a mountain. A good thing, a little faith is all I am right now. God, when you choose to make mountains unmovable, give me the strength to be able to sing. It is well with my soul. I know you're able and I know you can. Save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow and I know the hurt would all go away if you just say the word. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone.
You've been faithful, you've been good all of my days. Jesus, I will cling to you, come what may, 'cause I know you're able.
said amen. Oh, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. If you're rich or poor, well, it don't matter. Weak or strong, you know love is what we're after. We're all broken, but we're all in this together. God knows we stumble and fall. And he so loved the world, he sent his son to save us all. And all the people said amen. Oh, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. Blessed are the poor in spirit who are torn apart. Blessed are the persecuted and the pure in heart. Blessed are the people hungry for another start. For this is the kingdom of God. And all the people said amen. Oh, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. And all the people said amen. Whoa, and all the people said amen. Give thanks to the Lord, for his love never ends. And all the people said amen. And all the people said amen.
Tell me about motherhood.
Motherhood is the most gloriously exhausting, rewarding job on the planet. There are high highs when you cannot get enough of your children and you love their laughter, and you love their joy, and you love their exuberance. And then sometimes there's low lows where you just don't want to be touched anymore. But it's something that I will never, ever take for granted, because there was a time in my life where I didn't think that I would ever be a mama. And it is the best thing I've ever done.
I want to take a moment and thank you all for your financial support of our church and its ministries. If you're able and interested in giving to our church, you can go to neogagrace.com, enter the online giving portal there. If you happen to attend Etna or Toledo, go ahead and you can do the same thing, and we can find a way to do that recording as well. We'll talk to our book people about that and how that is. Just make sure your memo line or anyway on there, you go ahead and do that. Just want to make sure that we can give support those ministries that are important. You know, ministry is going to look very different for the next several months, and that difference was not planned for. So your financial support goes to figuring out new ways to make disciples of Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. It's something we haven't really anticipated in doing this way. So your financial support helps to do that, and also to meet the needs in the community. You know, we continue to support the backpack ministry, we continue to support the food pantry, and also the school as a donation site or as a food site for people to pick up their meals and things. And so we're going to continue to look at ways to reach out and to share God's love with people no matter where they are. If you'd like to partner with us in doing that, please go to neogagrace.com and give through the online giving portal. You can mail checks directly to any one of the three churches. Let us take a moment and pray. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for this day, for your call on our lives, for a ministry to be a part of. We ask that you might be with those who need to feel your love, and you might encourage us when we don't, that you might help to make your way of life known to all of those and to us who need to hear of your love and forgiveness, your mercy and your grace that is with us no matter what. May these tithes and these offerings, may they go to the building of your kingdom, to the sharing of your hope, to the spreading of your love. Amen.
Slapstick Theater. Hannah and God. This is Hannah.
Hi.
Hannah was married to a man named Elkanah.
Hey!
But they were not able to have any children. This made Hannah sad.
Aw.
It's okay. Come on.
Every year, Hannah and Elkanah would go to the house of the Lord at Shiloh to pray to God and offer sacrifices. Hannah would cry out and pray to the Lord. She told God that if he gave her a son, she would give him back to him and that her son would serve God all the days of his life. Hannah was so upset that one of the priests, Eli, thought there was something off about her. But Hannah told him that she had been praying because she had a broken heart. Eli told her, "May the God of Israel grant the request you've made."
Thank you.
And then Hannah was no longer sad. In due time, Hannah became pregnant and gave birth to a son.
Yeah!
She named him Samuel, for she said, "I asked the Lord for him." Hannah did as she said she would, and once Samuel was a little older, she took him to the temple. Hannah prayed and gave thanks to God, and Samuel grew up in the temple serving the Lord.
In our Christian tradition, there is a king, King David. For those of you who don't know about King David, then you may know about David and Goliath. But before there was a David for David and Goliath, there was just a David and his family, his older brothers and his dad was visited by this guy named Samuel. And Samuel was from the temple. He had a life dedicated to God. He learned from a man named Eli. And Eli was at a temple, and this woman came named Hannah. And Hannah desired a child so bad that she promised to give that child, to commit that child's life to God. God answered that prayer with this young boy that she then dedicated to God at the temple with Eli. And his name was Samuel. We're going to learn about and talk about, I'm not going to learn about motherhood. The best lessons about motherhood can't come from a guy that's not a mother. I can tell you the importance of mothers in my life, and not just my biological mother, but all of my aunts and all of my older sisters and all of those who I've leaned on in times of need, who supported and encouraged me, those born of blood and born through friendship and life circumstance. And so we want to say to you all the women who care and nurture and love, Happy Mother's Day. This morning we are blessed with a guest preacher. I want to go ahead and start with prayer, and then we'll go into that guest preacher. Let us pray. Lord, may the meditations of our hearts, and the words of her lips, be pleasing in your sight, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen.
Hello, church. I'm Sarah Dillingham. I'm Pastor Rob's wife. And on this Mother's Day, as you just saw before this clip, he talked about how he doesn't have really anywhere to say about being a mom and about motherhood. he's an awesome dad. He really is. But let's face it, being a mom is totally different. You know, when I was a little girl, one of the things we used to always play was house. My neighbor friends and I would meet in each other's driveways, and we would use sidewalk chalk, and we would map out our houses, and then we would all have jobs, and we would all have these babies, Cabbage Patch dolls that we would carry around with us. And my neighbor that lived next to me, she was always a vet. That was her job. She didn't want to have kids. She wasn't going to get married either. My neighbor down the road, she wanted to work at a bank. She wanted to have a bunch of kids. She always talked about wanting to have twins. And then there was me. I just wanted to be a mom. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a wife. But I really wanted to be a mom. I remember telling my own mother about playing, and I think that you can get a real insight into what your children pick up on as a parent when you listen to their pretend play. And my mom commented to me one day that she heard me saying things that she says to me. And I think that that's incredibly true. My three friends and I, we grew up. I became a teacher. My friend became a vet. My other friend works at a bank. The friend that's a vet has never married, doesn't have any children. The friend that works at the bank ended up having twins, ironically. And I ended up becoming a teacher and a mom and a wife. They are the greatest joys of my life, but also the hardest things I've ever done. You know, being a mom comes in different forms. There's a biological mom, there's a foster mom, there's an adoptive mom, there's aunts, there's grandmothers. If you work with children, you know that those kids become your kids. And I think one of the things that's amazing about women is how we are able to take those kids and that we're able to love them. In my life, I have got to be a biological mom, which is something that I didn't think would ever happen. I've got to be a foster mom. I was actually a foster mom before I was a biological mom. I am an adoptive mom. I have three beautiful adopted children. And I'm a bonus mom too. My bonus daughter is an unexpected blessing in my life. They all just call me mom, or mommy, or mama. And no matter what kind of mom you are, or how you went about becoming a mom, or if you're just a super cool auntie, or you're a grandmother, or you're a teacher, or you teach a Sunday school class, you are a mother figure in those kids' lives. Moms are important. Mothers are super important. Working in a school, I see every day moms that are fighting for their kids. They go above and beyond. And I see kids that maybe their moms are just struggling a little bit and they need someone else to come alongside them. One of the things that I think has been amazing during this stay-at-home time is that we have seen parents step up. And we've seen that we're all in this together and we're just trying to figure it out. But we have seen parents come alongside schools and work together with schools. You know, the story of Hannah is pretty amazing. I remember when I was thinking about becoming a mom for the first time. The story of Hannah was a story that I remember reading repeatedly. I had a duck on the back of my house, I had a beautiful golden retriever, and she would sit with me while I would do my Bible study. And I read the story of Hannah over and over and over again. You know, Hannah wasn't her husband's only wife. He had another wife, as was tradition at that time. And the other wife had children. However, her husband, when they would have a feast or they would go to the temple, he would always give Hannah more. She was loved. She was loved, but she was barren. And what she wanted more than anything in this world was to be a mother. There are women all over our world that want that more than anything in the world. And unless you've experienced that, that's a hurt that you cannot imagine. And sometimes I don't know that you even get over it. But Hannah ended up getting pregnant, and she had prayed that, Lord, if you just give me a child, I'm going to give that child back to you. I'm going to let him grow up in service to you. I'm going to take him to the temple. She ends up having Samuel. She names him Samuel because it means he comes from the Lord. And a little while goes by, and her family is going to go to the temple, and her husband says, hey, don't forget, you said you were going to give him back. You were going to give him back to the temple, and he's going to go live with Eli. And Hannah, like a typical mother, says, he's not weaned yet. Let's just wait. As soon as he's weaned, I promise I'll take him. I think this is something we can all relate to. You know, our Harmony is 4. She's a little 4, but when that girl says, Mama, will you rock me to sleep? Or will you rock me at bedtime? Or can I lay with you just for a little bit longer? I just can't say no. Because I know that on the other end of the spectrum, I have a 13-year-old that's taller than me now. There's no way that kid's sitting in my lap anymore. But that baby, I'll rock her just a little while longer. And I think Hannah's heart said, I'm going to go and I'm going to give this baby to the church just like I promised I would. And I'm going to hold on to him just a little while longer. I think we can all probably relate to that. It ends up, she weans him, she takes him, he goes and he works and trains under Eli. Eli later dies. Samuel ends up in a position where he is in charge of picking the king. So this guy Jesse, you might remember him, he brings all of his sons. He has all these sons. He brings them in front of Samuel, and each one, Samuel says, nope, that's not him. Nope, that's not the king. No, that's not the king. He goes through all the sons, and he says, do you have anybody else? Like, I'm pretty sure that one of your sons is supposed to be the king. Is this all you've got? And Jesse says, well, I do have this. I have my youngest. He's little. But he's my only one I got left. And Samuel says, bring him on in. He comes in, and here's what it says. It says, so he sent for him and had him brought in. He was glowing with health and had a fine appearance and handsome features. Then the Lord said, rise and anoint him. This is the one. So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. King David. David and Goliath David. David that wrote the Psalms. David, who's a direct line to Jesus. Sometimes I am in awe of how God lines things up. There was a mom that prayed for a baby that she thought she'd never have. And she prayed desperately and said, I'll give him back to you. And she followed through. And she did what she said she was going to do. And that baby grew up to become a man that appointed a king that was a direct line to our king. That's some pretty amazing stuff. So on this Mother's Day, when we honor our moms, we think about our moms that are here We think about our moms that we get to see every day. We might not get to see every day. Some of those moms that have gone on before us, some of those moms are still here but aren't who they used to be. I want you to remember that the most important work you may ever do in your life isn't at a school, at a bank, at a hotel, in front of a computer. It isn't anything that you do but within the walls of your home. Because those children may grow up and we don't know what God's going to do with them. May you have a wonderful day.